Hello everyone, how are you? Sean, welcome to a different video on this channel. We're going to make a video in the style of, how should I say it? It's not actually streaming, it's recorded just in a streaming style. Like responding to something happening now. Actually, we chose to do it this way because we wanted to bring closure to this case that we've been covering for a very long time. Last year on this channel, this was the case with P. Diddy. We have a verdict. The jury has spoken on all the charges and they've reached a verdict. Let's see, let's check the news and let's see. What did the justice system conclude regarding the case of P. Diddy? How was this case resolved? That's what I want us to do in this particular video. We have many videos about P. Diddy on this channel. If you're not caught up, I encourage you to watch them. I'll give you a list at the end so you can watch them all in order and have a P. Diddy marathon. Let's see, what does the judge have to say about it? We have several pieces of news. Rapper Sean Diddy Combs is exonerated of the main charges. The verdict is a victory for the hip-hop mogul who, although he avoids a life sentence, could still go to prison for up to 10 years. The jury in charge of sealing the fate of the music mogul, Sean Diddy Combs, in the United States. They acquitted him of the charges of conspiracy and sex trafficking, but found him guilty of human trafficking for sexual purposes. After 7 weeks of trial and just over 2 days of deliberations, the jury spokesperson announced their verdict to Judge Arun Subramanian. This marks a win for Combs 55 and his defense team. Combs avoids a life sentence but faces a possible sentence of up to 10 years in prison. After reaching an agreement this Tuesday on 4 of the 5 charges, 2 for sex trafficking and 2 for trafficking for prostitution purposes, the jury reached an agreement this Wednesday on the most important charge, conspiracy, which was reportedly more divisive. The verdict could have put one of the most celebrated figures in hip-hop behind bars for life, but it could also send him to prison for up to a decade. It will probably put an end to his career as a successful music executive, fashion entrepreneur, brand ambassador, and reality show star. The founder of the record label Bad Boy Records. He was accused of being the leader of a criminal organization that forced women to participate in sex orgies with prostitutes and that carried a life sentence. Combs' reputation, who was supported throughout most of the trial by his mother and his children, took a hard hit when his ex-partner of 11 years, the singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit accusing him of rape and sexual assault. This case was settled out of court after the music mogul, who has been held in a Brooklyn jail since September, paid $20 million. But it triggered a wave of civil lawsuits and ultimately criminal charges. That's what we have on that. We have more news. Let's see if there is any. There's more. I think this one has more information. Let's see. Sean Diddy Combs was found guilty of prostitution charges, but acquitted of more serious ones. The American rapper Sean Diddy Combs was found guilty of 2 counts of transporting people for prostitution. But he was found not guilty of the charges of sex trafficking and conspiracy to extort, the 2 most serious crimes he was facing. The musician heard the jury's verdict this Wednesday in a New York court. Combs was charged with sex trafficking involving his ex-partner Cassie Ventura and another woman, Shane. The jury found Combs guilty of transporting the 2 women to places where they engaged in sexual acts and prostitution. Both women who had been Combs' partners testified separately about occasional sexual encounters or hotel nights, which they described as sexual encounters in which both hired male escorts to have sex. Meanwhile, Combs watched, sometimes recording or directing them. For the crimes of providing transportation for prostitution, Combs could face a maximum prison sentence of up to 10 years. His defense requested that he be released after posting a $1 million bail, but the judge denied it and he will have to wait in jail to learn his sentence. Ventura's lawyer said he was pleased that the musician still faces a considerable prison sentence. He also released a statement in which he said that by sharing his experience, he has almost left an indelible mark both in the entertainment industry and in the fight for justice. He demonstrated unquestionable strength and drew attention to the reality of powerful men in our environment and to the misconduct that has persisted for decades. Combs appeared relieved to learn he was only guilty of lesser charges, facing no repercussions. His lawyer, Tenny Garagos, seemed to be crying next to him, wiping her eyes with a handkerchief. After hearing the verdict, the musician looked at the jury several times and made a prayer gesture with his hands, just as he did with his family. At one point, Combs covered his face with his hands and then raised them, making a prayer gesture again. He nodded repeatedly, addressing the jury and his family. The atmosphere in the courtroom was extremely emotional after the jury announced that they had acquitted him of the most serious charges for which he could have been sentenced to life in prison. Before leaving the room, Combs knelt down, rested his face on the chair, and seemed to be praying. He was trembling. He stood up, looked at his family, and began to clap loudly, while his relatives and supporters joined him, cheering as well in the waiting room. Then he hugged his lawyer and left. Outside the court, a crowd erupted in loud cheers. News reached the court. Mark Agnifilo, another of the musician's lawyers, said Combs' acquittal on the most serious charges meant he should be allowed to return to his home in Florida, with bail set at up to $1 million, guaranteed by family members present in the courtroom, until his sentencing hearing. A significant change in his conditions is justified, stated Agnifilo, who emphasized that this is the first time Combs has been convicted. He quickly opposed this motion. Prosecutor Maureen Comey accused Agnifilo of downplaying the seriousness of the prostitution charges for which Combs was convicted. She stated that he committed a litany of crimes, including violence against women and drug trafficking, while he was under investigation and awaiting his first arrest. She also argued that Combs poses a danger and will flagrantly ignore court conditions if released. Agnifilo promptly denied it. He said that Combs has gotten his life back thanks to the jury, so he would be a complete fool if he violated the conditions imposed by the court. Judge Aram Subramanian expressed his gratitude to the jury for spending almost 2 months listening to all the evidence and carefully deliberating on the rapper's fate. Subramanian. He explained to them what judges usually say in high-profile cases, that they have the right to speak to the press, but they have reasons not to do so. If they do, he added, the jury must respect the privacy of the deliberations as well as the opinions of the other jurors. He also told them that he understands if they want to go home right away, but that he would love to see them again and thank them personally for their service. Former prosecutor Robert Means told the British Broadcasting Corporation that the jury's verdict was not a complete surprise. He said it was always going to be hard for the prosecution to prove their case, as they had to show the acts were not consensual. Since the defense had a good number of examples of text messages and other communications in which the victims apparently agreed to participate in these sexual acts. The jury found it difficult to conclude that the victims participated involuntarily. The burden of proof always falls on the prosecution, beyond a reasonable doubt. And I believe, in the end, the jurors considered it likely that the prosecution had not met its burden of proof. For the former prosecutor, the Combs verdict was practically the best the defense could hope for, short of acquittal on all charges. There's no other way to describe this except as a victory for the defense and a resounding defeat for the prosecution. Combs was charged with conspiracy, 2 counts of human trafficking with sexual exploitation fines, and 2 counts of transportation for the purpose of prostitution. Many of the most serious allegations involved conspiracy to commit extortion. He was accused of kidnapping, drugging, and coercing women to participate in sexual activities, sometimes with firearms or threats of violence. In a raid on Combs' mansion in Los Angeles, the police found supplies that they said were intended to be used in order. Combs also faces multiple lawsuits accusing him of rape and assault. Tony Busby, a Texas lawyer handling some of these charges, said that there are more than 100 women and men from across the country who have filed lawsuits against the rap mogul or intended to do so. In December 2023, a woman identified in court documents as Jane Doe alleged that she was gang raped by Combs, and others in 2003 when she was 17 years old. She claimed that she had been given large amounts of drugs and alcohol before the sexual assault. Combs's legal team dismissed the flood of lawsuits as clear attempts to gain publicity. Combs's current legal troubles began in late 2023 when he was sued for violent abuse and rape by his ex-girlfriend Casey Ventura. That lawsuit was settled for an undisclosed amount of money one day after it was filed, although Combs maintained that he was innocent. Since then, dozens of people have filed lawsuits accusing Combs of sexual assault, including some allegations dating back to 1991. The charges he was accused of include charge number 1, that organized crime. Verdict, not guilty. Charge number 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion of the victim Ventura. Guilty. Charge number 3, transportation for prostitution, and the victim was Ventura and commercial sex workers. Guilty. He was found guilty on that charge. Charge 4, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Victim Jane Doe. Not guilty. And charge number 5, transportation for prostitution. The victim was Jane Doe and commercial sex workers. Guilty. So what happened is that he was found guilty of 2 of the charges he faced, which are 2 of the lighter ones, if you can say that, the ones that didn't have the risk of being sentenced to life in prison and spending the rest of his life behind bars. The 2 that found him guilty are lesser charges, charges that might carry a prison sentence, but it would be less than 10 years. This could likely be resolved with money. Behavior. The more serious charges meant he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. He has been found not guilty on those charges. Therefore, it's most likely that he won't go to prison. Most likely, if he does go to prison, it will be for a very short time, and he won't go to prison for life. There won't be an exemplary accusation, sentence, or anything similar. So this seems to be how the trial is resolved. I think we can also finish the videos about this trial in this way. We wanted to make this one, maybe it's not the neatest or the most complete of all, but we wanted to finish the saga we started about Diddy Combs. Anyway, if there are any updates, we'll make a new video, but for now this is all there is, all that we have. If you want to check out the whole saga of the trial and everything else, I'll leave you a playlist of videos we've put together. With all the videos about Diddy, which are a lot on this channel, I'll leave them there for you. At the end, I'll leave you a couple of recommendations here. Thank you all very much, and I remind you that on Sundays, we're uploading special 1-hour videos. This Sunday, we're going to reveal the dark side of Chespirito because of everything that's happening with the series Sin Querer Queriendo and more. We're also releasing videos about this topic on my other channel, El Día Que. So if you're not up to date, go check them out. They're really good and very thorough. I have nothing more to say. Oh, and I invite you, if you want, to check out my other channel, 2000 Eros Y2K, which is all about 2000s retro culture and more. You might be interested. And we made one about what the internet was like in the 2000s. That's all I had to say to let you know. I think we're finished here. Thank you for joining us on this case. I'll see you on Sunday with the dark side of Chespirito, and if not, go check out the other videos, there are plenty. Bye.